All right, in this lesson, I started off with this one photo of this guy jumping into a lake. And I really like the dynamics and the motion and where it's going. It feels like a very forward-going photograph. I really like it. I did think it was interesting to show him flying instead of jumping in the water. Now, flying means that there's a long distance. So how to separate flying from falling, and that was the challenge. So we started off with a photo jumping in the lake, and then we added the cityscape in the background. But just these two together, it could still insinuate falling. So by adding these birds, which makes the falling relative, in which case it feels more like flying. And then some color effects to kind of tie it all together to get this final composite. So I'm actually pretty happy with this, and let me show you how to do it. All right, so to start, go into the lessons folder and find the Flying Man folder. And in here you have assets. Go ahead and open the skyline.jpg in Photoshop. And it looks like this. Okay. First thing we're going to do is crop this. So click on the crop tool, and you'll notice that you get these little things around here that show you where you're going to crop. And you don't have to do this, but it's as you wish. You can delete crop pixels. What that means is, let's say I'm going to crop this like this. I'm going to go over here. It's actually going to delete this part of the picture. Whereas if I don't check it, it's just changing the size of my artboard and not deleting it. So it's non-destructive. I don't actually care about it, so I'm going to delete it. And I don't want this file to be too big. Holding down the Alt key when you do this makes it symmetrical. So we're basically cutting it from both sides. All right. So before we crop it, let's actually just flip this image because I cheated and it looks better this way. So go to Image, Rotation, and Flip Canvas horizontally. Okay, now go to the crop tool and holding down the Alt key so that we're symmetrical. I'm going to go right around here, something like this, and this is right. Something's fine. I'm not crazy about this building, but well, let's just cut it off. Here we go. All right, hit return, and there we go. Zoom in a little bit. That's Alt and Command plus. There we go, twice. All right, and we're going to add some haze and make this a little darker. So let's go ahead and just name this, double click. We'll just call this Skyline. Okay, let's make a new layer here, and B for brush right here. Let's get a bigger brush. Holding down the Control and Alt key, you can just make that, and go, while you're clicking on the left button, you go left and right, that changes the size. Up and down changes the hardness. In this case, we'll go very soft, pretty big, something like this. And if you hold on the Alt key, your brush becomes the eyedropper tool. So in this case, I'd like to get sort of a bit of a warmish color, some of the haze that we have back here, and I want to add some of it sort of in the foreground here. But actually, I'm not going to brush it. I was thinking I would just brush it like this, so I'm going to undo that. Also, this should be in screen mode, and perhaps 50%. So let's try that. I could just brush it like this, and that kind of works. But what I actually want is to have a perfect gradient. So I'm going to click on the gradient tool, make sure it's foreground to transparent, which is the second one by default. And then go to the mirrored one, the mirrored gradient, which is here, reflected gradients. Okay? And we're just going to click, hold down shift so that it's nice and straight. There you go. We added some there. So I'm going to undo that because I actually want something a little warmer. So I'm going to, holding down the Alt key again, it turns into the eyedropper. And let's try this again. I kind of like that better. It's a little dirtier, a little less saturated, feels a little hazier. So I like that. Okay. And I can always come here and hit Command T and kind of shrink this down a bit. Except if it goes all the way to the edge, might not be great. I'm actually happy with this, so let's just keep this. I'm going to call this Haze. Okay. And next we're going to make the whole image a little darker. So let's go ahead and create a curves, and let's bring this down a bit so we can see a little better. I'm actually going to bring this like this. There we go. All right, so taking, please note that the curves are not the default, in the default user interface. If you go to the curves display option, right here, and by default you have light, which means that your dark point is over here and your white point is over here. I have it the other way around. This is basically the printing method, the pigment or ink, and it's by percentage. So it's just the curve, they're just upside down, that's all. So in this case, darkening is up here. I'm adding ink, basically, which is why it's getting darker. So something like this, pretty dark. I like that. Something like this. And then let's add a levels over here. Let's do levels. And I'm actually going to bring up the white point really high up and darken everything. But I really want this for the bottom bit, not so much for the top. So I'm going to take my gradient up here. All right, foreground to transparent. And I'm basically on the mask of this curves, or these levels rather, I'm just going to go from the middle down here. So I'm basically masking all this out. I can actually do this a little better. Let's go a little lower. That's pretty good. I'm really just trying to darken this, and maybe a little. Oh, let's see what I'm doing wrong. I had a reflected gradient. I want the foreground to transparent. So let's do that again, and much better. Okay, good. I don't want to affect the top at all. I really want it for the bottom. I'm going to undo that and just do a little bit higher up, something like that. There we go. Okay, you can go back here. Maybe it's a little too much. Let's lighten this up a little bit. Okay, good. Next, I'm going to create a gradient of green in here. I want to accentuate this sort of natural green that's happening. So once again, holding down the Alt key to pick my green, see what I can find within the image. I want something a little dark. Ooh, kind of like this. There you go, desaturated green. And I'm just going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit so I have better gradient control. And I'm going to take a little bit over here, a little bit over here, a little more over here, something like this. I'm going to take this layer and put it in multiply mode. That way it darkens what's already existing. All right, let's add a little bit up here, a little up here. Oop, a little too much. Something like this. And then there we go. I see I'm keep adding it, and I'm at 100%, but I'm using the very light part of this gradient. So anyhow, this kind of works doing this. I could also darken this a little bit. So go to my brightness, just go a little darker. Saturation, slightly less saturated. Let's try that. Keep going and add more. There we go. That's fine. A little over here. There we go. Okay, let's see that before and after. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll add another layer. So let's call this green shading. Okay, and we'll call this just shadows. Okay, and in this case, we'll do hit D for default colors. I'm going to do black. Once again, just put it in multiply mode, and just very, very lightly, like so. Okay, I'll probably lighten this because I don't want it too much. I'm going it's a little heavy-handed here, but I'll just change the opacity of this layer. Let's do 50%, but I'm definitely adding some shade there. Anyhow, I like this. Pretty good. I might want some more green, so I'll go back in here, hit that green, and let's just put a little more. That's a little too dark. Let's do this. There we go. I like that. That's pretty good. Okay. All right. Something like this. Zoom in. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we got our basic crop. We got some shading, and pretty good. I kind of like that. And let's add some sky and maybe some fog in the next chapter.